in this conversation, I think you see Nicola Willis start to get a bit grumpy. It's an interesting dynamic from these people at the moment. Luxon was getting grumpy at the stand-up yesterday when he had to say again and again and again. Now, Luxon has a bit of an excuse for that. He's used to not being questioned as a CEO. I don't know about Nicola Willis. I could be wrong. Tell me in the chat. But it seems to me that she's getting a little bit tired of this questioning and she's a bit over it. So we're going to pick it up with when Anna Burns Francis talks about the New Zealander who wasn't expecting taxes or costs from a national government.
What do you say to people who voted for you? And I would love to say that every voter was listening to the fine print, but who got the message that you were not going to be hitting them in the back pocket. You were offering tax cuts, and the next thing they're facing is a ghost tax. It is a hike to what they will be paying to use the road.
What I'd say to those New Zealanders is, I get it.
Shoot me! Honestly. You don't fucking get it, or you wouldn't be passing it, you fucking disingenuous pile of crap. If you got it, you wouldn't be doing it.
That's right.
What I'd say to those New Zealanders is, I get it. You've gone through a couple of years of a cost of living.
Yeah. This is blame Labour. That also has to come out, doesn't it? Why are we putting up rates? Labour bad. I get it. You guys have been so hard up under Labour, so we have to charge you more that we didn't talk about.
Crisis where your income in most cases has not kept up with your costs, whether it's groceries, rent or taxes. And so that's why we as a government are so committed to making sure we're getting good value for money so we can reduce the tax you pay. You will be better off. And so that we can make sure that...
It took her a little second or so to get that better off out. I wonder if her brain was going, maybe they won't be so better off.
The petrol tax and other taxes don't need to increase. This is a small adjustment to a fee that hasn't kept up with inflation, and it will be balanced out by the other reductions we're making.
But it wasn't signalled in advance. Voters did not know this was coming. The truth is you've got a massive problem, right? Paying for your roading projects does not stack up. NZTA says you could be as much as $20 billion out. How do you get those numbers so wrong?
Well, that's not what the issue is here. When the Minister of Transport went to put together this policy statement, he was advised that this registration fee hadn't kept up with inflation, hadn't been adjusted in many, many years, and he saw a good reason to do it, which is that road users do need to contribute to the cost of our roads. Yeah, and that's why we're not increasing petrol tax, Anna. That's right. That's why we're not increasing petrol tax, which does distinguish us from other political parties who were intent on increasing petrol tax regularly over these next 3 years.
Yeah,
and we've stopped that.
They were going to stagger it. They were going to stagger it, and it's important to point out to viewers that you guys are promising to hike it all in one go at 12 cents at the very end of that period. That you're just going for a lump sum. It's just doing it one end or the other. Everyone's actually going to raise fuel taxes at the end.
We're keeping our commitment. No petrol tax increases until 2027. And look, the petrol taxes that the previous government were promising to increase would have hit every motorist. Every time they filled up, they would have drained a lot more dollars from bank accounts around the country. And so we're proud we're keeping our commitment.
Sixth time.
None of this is going to fix the fundamental problem that our roads are poorly designed and cheaply made, and we're not building enough adaptation around it, and we're not building enough public transport, and we're not actually doing anything to future-proof. If you look at Simeon Brown's report, I think it mentions climate change twice. It mentions climate change. Like we have a climate change future where many of our roads are simply not going to be held up to the kind of weather that it's going to be confronted with. And all they want to do is again use the stick. They're going to bring in more rather than spend the money to make and engineer the roads to be safer. What National will do is just going to put up more speed cameras, right? So their argument is, well, why should we spend more money on the actual physical infrastructure when we can just ping and penalise and fine everyone, and that will change the behaviour? While at the same time they bring in these congestion charges, because rich people don't mind if they're paying more when they're driving through a busy city, to be able to get to where they go. But for poor people, they're screwed over. And when they look at the extra cuts they're going to do to public transport and cycleways, that kind of infrastructure, this is just eroding policy for rich people. It will not prepare our roading system for what's coming. And the way you prepare our roading system for what's coming is you spend an enormous amount of public money, not user pays charges, but public money straight from the government into what is a crucial piece of infrastructure. And because they're not going to pay for it themselves, they keep saying, well, you guys who are using the roads, you pay for it. But we've got such massive, huge migration issues and pressures going on right now. Our infrastructure can't stand. So you actually need a large chunk, a new investment model, and a new way of seeing our roads as a public good rather than something that's just used for wealthy people. Nothing they've put through with this. The $50 they're charging here, the little bit none of it's going to make our roads better. None of it's going to improve our public transport systems. We're still going to be in gridlock 3 years from now. And that's why I think this whole thing's bullshit, ultimately. None of it's going to solve the problems we're actually confronting on our roads. Oh, we'll put some more into the pothole. Well, we wouldn't have had a problem with the potholes if under the Key government they had been spending and increasing the budget for those potholes, but they didn't. Under the Key government, they went, screw it, not our problem. Labor then had to pick it up and try and fund it over 6 years. So I don't think any of this is going to make a lick of difference. I think people who are being stuck in gridlock right now and can't get about their day are just going to be banging their heads into their car wheels, begging for the end to come, because I don't think this is going to get better. I don't think it's going to get better.